From the network that brought you the Dro Bro Show and Remo's interviews, brings you the brand new Hot Tag with Grimex and Mr. Vicious.
What's up, everybody? This is Mr. Vicious Remo Vinci back again with a whole new segment, a whole new avenue as far as one of our segments goes. And as some of you can already tell, I got my fellow Dro Bro with me, Grimex. Say what's up, my brother.
Mr. Vicious. Sorry, I had to say it because so the aliases, those are also our aliases. For those of you who don't know, and what up, guys? They're we used them on a wrestling game, and Rich and I, we were going to the school for primos here in Colorado to try to be wrestlers, and had we been, he was going to be Remo Vinci, Mr. Vicious, and I was
Well,
going to be,
to be fair, that's my stage name already. For those of you
yeah.
that follow my music career. So of course, I was just gonna follow suit and go with what I already have. Who I already am. So go ahead.
So, and I was going to be Six Grim X, but I just had to say it like an announcer would since this is our wrestling show.
Well, exactly. This is so we were doing the wrestling segment as part of the Dro Bro show, but we decided that we were going to switch that up a little bit and give Doja a better opportunity to contribute to some of the other shows better. I felt like we were doing a disservice to him, like we were saying, and it was doing a disservice to the show. I think overall, it was kind of making it lack a little bit and drag a little bit. So Grim and I, being the wrestling aficionados that we are, we still wanted to incorporate that into our show somehow. So we decided we would just do a segment away from it. Now we're calling this is our working title at least, the Hot Tag with Grim and Vicious. So welcome to the very first episode of the Hot Tag. And we're going to do it monthly. We're just going to recap all the wrestling news and what the happenings are and just throw our 2 cents into it. Now, to be fair, neither one
So
of us.
maybe
Hold on one second.
maybe we should start the shows from now on with the the hot tag.
Oh, well, yeah, we should. Like, in fact,
Yeah,
when we do the intro, I'm gonna create a cool ass intro for us, and I already had some cool ideas, and I thought we could incorporate that somehow. But what I was gonna say is a little disclaimer right off the top. Now, Grim and I have not. We live very busy lives. This isn't our job. This is something that we love to do. This is a hobby. So we don't have all of this time in the world to watch all of the wrestling that's out there because there's so much freaking wrestling available that it's ridiculous. It's awesome to be a wrestling fan these days because of all this content, but it's hard to consume it all. So me personally, I don't really get to watch anything live. I'll get to watch pay-per-views, WWE pay-per-views or PLEs, whatever the fuck you want to call them. I'll get to watch those live. The main big ones, the ones that are the most intriguing with my son, whom y'all will meet, little Vinci Jr. on some of our watch-alongs that we're gonna have here soon. But I don't really get to watch Raws. I don't get to watch hardly any AEWs. All the wrestling that I consume is through the internet, through shows, through little highlight things, different type of YouTube shows that I listen to that cover wrestling news. That's how I consume my wrestling. Uh, Maybe a little on Instagram, just clips that I see or videos on YouTube. So that's the most that I got to offer. Grim, you want to talk about what you're able to do and how you're able to contribute?
so for me, I'm busy as well. We're both busy, and with the podcast and stuff, it's made us both a lot busier. For me, what I watch is Raw and SmackDown, WWE. I was trying to keep up with AEW for a while. Sorry, some kids are riding in the back. Um, so I was trying to keep up with AEW, but after the Punk stuff, I just really gave up on it. Um, some news I might catch here or there, but for the most part, uh, right now I'm just doing WWE because me and Gio both like it, who I'm sure some of you have met on the show before. He's been on a couple of our episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out, little man. So, with all of that being said, we have somewhat of a limited um, arsenal and no knowledge of current events that we're able to speak on. So right now, what we're going to do now is cover some of the happenings of this last month and the build up to this King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi and this AEW Double or Nothing show that they just had. So let's go ahead and get into the King and Queen of the Ring right away, and let's get into some of our breakdowns and our thoughts on some of the current roster and what's happening. Right off the bat, they had on the pre-show Jade and Bianca against Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. Now, this team that they have with Jade and Bianca, I see a lot of potential for it. I hope they don't rush it, and I hope they don't make them split up too soon and start their feud, because we all know that's going to be fire, right? We know that's going to be incredible when it happens, but don't jump the gun on it. And now that Triple H has been in charge of things and stuff has been working smoothly, I have all the faith in the world that they'll do it the right way and that it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. So in the meantime, we could just enjoy the ride. Now, I didn't really get to watch much of this show at all. In fact, this match right here was the only one I really got to see. So, did you get to see any of this show, Grim?
Yeah, so I had mentioned it, and I think it was in our Joe Bro show that the Logan Paul and freaking Cody Rhodes match phenomenal. You know what I mean? Like, I like the way that they do the cinematic shots and stuff like that. It made the match even more incredible.
Yeah. That's tight. I like that. And I like that they have this whole new production shit going on. Once they let go of what was Homeboy's name that was the main dude? Kevin Dunn. That was their main production dude forever. Once he stepped away, after all this bench shit that's been going on, they made some positive changes. And he did a great job. I'm not trying to knock him. But we all got kind of used to a certain look and a certain way that things, kind of went. So to see it
Well,
shaking up a bit, go ahead.
Freddie Prinze was pretty good too.
Yeah, but he
I
didn't
like
direct
him.
anything. He was just a writer. He was like a producer as far as working with talent. He didn't get to like
Yeah.
direct how things happened. You know what I mean?
No, I know he's a producer, but he was saying that like people like MJF, he's a producer's gold. He's
Yeah,
wrestling gold for any writer or producer. Um, so that's also it. Like a lot of the guys that I liked in AEW, they were out for a while. The Kenny Omegas, the MJF, he's out for shoulder surgery, all that stuff. So that really just declined my interest in it at all because I mean, and I voiced that opinion here, and I'm sure there's a lot of wrestling fans out there that feel the same way. But with the Bucks and their pettiness, throughout all of the industry, and it's not just with the Punk, it's Cody Rhodes and many others.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just the way that they do business that really turned me off.
yeah, they kind of there's a lot of negative energy in AEW right now. So, or there has been for a while. Now, right now, it seems to be like this new leaf is being turned over, and it seems to be a little bit of positive energy that's starting to muster up over there. So I'm being hopeful. And again, like with all of this being said, I know Grim's going to do the best he can, but I'm going to try to make a point to watch some more clips and some more highlights, at least of AEW stuff, and give it more of a righteous, uh, what am I trying to say, Grim? A better idea of how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? A better critique.
Give a very unbiased and very a good perspective, a good
Yeah, a
like you
more
said, a
educated
critique.
opinion.
Yeah, because just being negative for the sake of negative, that's wrong. So I do feel
Yeah,
that AEW has great talent working for them, and I do feel that things that would make it better would be like if the Young Bucks lost their creative control abilities, I guess, and then Tony Khan. I discussed this with you over the phone. If he had hired somebody to help him
yeah,
monitor his social media and to help him direct and produce his show, then I think, because he had Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes did that in the beginning. He's very behind the scenes. And then when they lost him, they lost that. So he was one of the elite, he was one of the EVPs. Then you had CM Punk, he was also doing some of that. And if you notice that his show got better ratings because they were more about the wrestling. And,
Yeah.
you were telling me a story today about what John Cena had said once. And wasn't it you? Maybe it was, no, it was my friend at work, Sam. Okay, so it was my friend at work, Sam. Shout out, Sam. And we were talking, and he said he thinks it was John Cena, but what he said about Punk is that Vince always knew what he thought was good for the business, but when Punk brought stuff up, he brought up what was relevant to the business, right? And people who always hated on like old school wrestling moves, okay, um, you have to understand that, yeah, that flashy and all that stuff's cool, but the old school holds and wrestling moves, that's what got
Yeah.
us here today.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Like the foundation and framework put us where we are. So that's the most important part of it all. Let's get back to this King and Queen of the Ring real quick and go through the rundown of both of these shows real quick and kind of give our opinions on it all, because the you'll see the contrast between the two. Like the King and Queen of the Ring is very tight knit, very, just a few matches and that's it. But this AEW show, man, I got 3 pages worth of shit on that one. So let's get through these matches real quick and see the current state of things and see how we feel about all that. So, like I was saying about the Jade and Bianca against the Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, how do you feel about the whole Jade and Bianca pairing and your whole thoughts on that whole thing?
I like them, and I agree with you. The way that this is going to end is with them battling it out and having a feud, and that's probably what's going to cost them the titles is when one of them shoves one, and then they take it personal, and then it's going to
Yeah,
build into a storyline. So, because
classic.
honestly, the tag team that's on the roster that I thought could contend with them. I mean, as far as tag teams go, I'm not talking about female wrestlers on the roster. I'm talking about just the tag teams that
Yeah.
exist. The tag team that I thought stood the best chance is the tag team they faced on Raw, Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, right? I thought
So,
for sure if anyone stood a chance, it was them. And, if you watched Raw, then obviously Jade and Bianca, they retained. But I definitely think it's going to come down to them. Like I said, there's going to be some misstep in a move or something. Someone's going to freaking
yeah.
clock somebody, and then it's
Well,
basically going to be personal.
I mean, they're obviously poised to dominate the whole division, right? For as long as they want. So that has to be the logical ending of it all. If somebody does a misstep or there's some kind of miscommunication or whatever, you know what I mean? Somebody starts to get jealous. I mean, I'm curious to see how they're gonna do it, but I'm not in a rush to get there. I'm happy to see what happens along the way. What about Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell? What are your thoughts on those two? Or do you have any?
I think they're dope. I haven't seen enough of them to really be a great judge. I've only seen a few things with them.
Yeah.
One of them wasn't she with the Iconics? I thought she was. I was saying
No,
that.
yeah, this is the one that you keep getting confused with that, but no, she's actually not. She's from somewhere else though too. She's from Australia, right? She's also from
Yeah,
Australia.
I think so.
Like one of the or both of the Iconics, Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. Those are those two.
Yeah. So either way, I think they're all right. I just don't think they're at that level yet. Uh,
Yeah.
let's just say I agree. I think that Jade and Bianca are going to dominate. And honestly, if we're being honest here, I think that WWE should try to go the long route with them. They did the break in the title or the record holding with Gunther and the Intercontinental, Roman and the world title. So
And
why
that's
not
my
go that
point.
route
I agree 1,000%. I mean, why not? Why
to
not? You have this
establish?
dominant team. I mean, they're perfectly suited for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They could go on that run. It gives them time to gel. It gives Jade time to mature as a WWE superstar, because I don't remember how much time she had in AEW and how many matches there were, but from what I understand, she's still pretty green to the whole situation. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that whole buildup just gives it time. What's up, little man? How you doing, bud? So the next one I got on my list here is Liv. Hi, is Liv over Becky. And she got the title, the new champion, Liv over Becky. And Becky's out now. That's the news. Her contract expired. She's out of WWE. She's a free agent officially. What are your
Really?
thoughts on all of that? Yeah,
Dang.
taking time off.
I definitely think they'll re-sign her, but I seen this coming. I told you with Rollins being out that she was going to end up taking time off. That's why I was shocked that they gave her the title. But
I think they had
yeah,
to make a pivot with the whole Rhea situation,
well, I already told you, dude. I think that this whole thing is dope. I like the whole thing they're doing with Dominic and Liv and the Judgment Day.
Yeah. Yeah, and since this show, from what I understand, there's been more stuff. Like you saw some highlights on Raw or something about more build up with this storyline also.
The Liv and Becky.
The Liv and Dom actually. I think Becky was out already. I think after the show that was it.
No, I know, but so the whole backstory with all this is that Liv said she's going to take everything from Rhea. That she said
Yeah, yeah,
cost her title by putting her out. So she also cost her career, putting her out for the time being. She's going to take Dom, and she said inevitably she's going to cost her the Judgment Day as well.
yeah, and slowly but surely it seems to be the case. So the Judgment Day is the next box to be checked, and that one already seems to already have some stuff in the works. So
So,
we'll see how that plays out. But I'm a big fan of Liv. I'm anxious to see what else happens with her. I was waiting for her to get the strap for a while now. I think she's been ready for it. So I'm curious to see how the evolution goes to this whole thing because she's kind of like a tweener. Like she's a heel, but she's also a baby face. Like it's very strange. So I want to see a more defined role, I guess, and just see where it goes. I'm curious with all of that and see what happens with Dominic because when Rhea comes back, some shit's gonna go down and it ain't gonna be pretty. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see how that goes. And Becky, as far as her little hiatus that's going to happen now, or whatever's going to happen, I wish them luck. But yeah, her and Seth definitely have been workhorses for the company for God knows how long. So they deserve whatever time they want to take and spend with their little girl. So I'm very much appreciative for the work that she's done. If she doesn't come back for a while, thank you. But if she does, if this is just a little break, and she comes back, around Survivor Series or some shit like that, like that's kind of what I'm expecting. I don't expect it to be too long, maybe a few months, but we'll see. If it's years, I seriously doubt because Becky's literally the biggest name in women's wrestling. I think, I don't think there's a name that's bigger than her. So if she decides to play the field and see what happens in another promotion, she's going to get buku bucks. And if she decides to get re-signed with WWE, I'll bet you she's going to break records as the, biggest paid female performer of all time. That's what I think. I think her, Charlotte, and Rhea. I think the three of them. I think they've definitely passed Sasha at this point. Mercedes Monet. I think the three of them, as far as name value and marquee value, I think the three of them hold the top spot. So we'll
I
see.
agree. Charlotte is kind of at the moment a little brittle. You know what I mean? She just came back and then got injured. That was pretty sad. I was kind
Yeah.
of excited to see what she was going to do in the women's division. Because there's a strong women's division now. It
What
didn't
happened?
always.
What was her injury?
Didn't she tear something in her knee?
Oh, damn! Already, huh? Shit.
Yeah, remember she was fighting Asuka,
I don't remember.
but
I had
oh
no.
yeah, you weren't watching it. So
Yeah.
first match back, and they were fighting for number one contendership for the title.
Yeah, and I hadn't really been watching recaps for a little while either, so I didn't get to see any of that on the side. Well, damn. We'll see. Hopefully she gets back into the swing of things soon, because she's always a force to be reckoned with, and she really is the queen of WWE. So we'll see.
Especially since her husband just came back.
And he's killing it too. I don't know if he's still doing it, but the shit that I saw, from him in the past couple months has been real nice. So I expect big things out of Andrade. Let's move on to the next match here. Actually, before we move on to the next match, give me some more on Dom. What else do you think about Dom? Because he's hurt right now, but when he comes back, man, that kid, that kid has had this meteoric rise already in the
Oh,
wrestling business, bro. That's like,
you
I'm
have you
sorry,
seen him freaking his Eddie Guerrero mustache?
bro. The mustache, the mullet, the here, like he's eddied out, bro. He's eddied out, and it's not even like Eddie from like his WWE run, really. It's like Eddie from WCW, bro. It's Eddie from like '96 Eddie.
Yeah. So definitely I like this whole storyline. Like I said on Raw, Liv had announced everything I was just saying, and
Yeah,
then Dom interfered in her match, and she ended up winning. So she comes down and she kisses him, and then it's all weird. So then he gets away from her like you don't like it or whatever, and then later on that night he interferes in another match. I think it's the Braun Strowman one. Okay, so Braun Strowman is fighting Carlito.
yeah,
Because so there's another part at the point that the Judgment Day is out there first, and they're running around the ring with who'd they beat? Anyways, Finn Balor and them, they're jumping him. I can't think of it right now. And Braun Strowman and Dragon Lee. So Dragon Lee was fighting Finn Balor.
yeah,
JD
yeah. I
McDonagh
saw
in
that.
the corner. Dom came out, interfered, and Ray brought Braun Strowman out, and him and Liv have a thing out there. And then because she comes out and she protects him from Braun
Uh-huh.
or whatever.
And
Not at this point. That's later on in the night. But anyways, they have a moment at this point because I think it was three times they had a moment. So it was
did
pretty big storyline.
did you
And
actually get to watch the match?
yeah, so then Braun
No.
Strowman he fought Carlito because the
Uh-huh.
Judgment Day is like, all right, you want to mess around with us, you want us to give you a chance, then challenge Braun to a match and beat him. So they
Yeah,
get him in there and they punk him, dude. They get disqualified because they're beating his legs with a chair. And but before all that, when Dom had first interfered with the chair, Braun comes after him and Liv goes out there and she's freaking trying to protect him while he's laying on the ground, crawling away. And then Carlito gets freaking handle on Braun because he's distracted. And so anyways, they get DQ'd. They jack him up. They freaking smash his legs with chairs and his right leg. So who knows if he's going to be out now?
yeah. And I was gonna ask you, since you watched it, did you listen to the commentary as well?
Yeah, some of it.
So there's a little bit of controversy right now, or at least Pat McAfee is getting a little bit of heat because of some of the stuff he said. I guess apparently, like he was calling Braun Strowman a big white boy or something, and he said something about there was another some kind of like racist something about a Caitlin Clark, um some comment he said about her, about some white bitch. So I don't know. Did you notice any of that? Did you see any of that from Pat McAfee?
I do now that you say it that he did say that, but to me, it's not that big of a deal growing up in wrestling, right? And
Right? Like we came from the Attitude Era, so it's not that crazy, right? And
yeah,
and to be honest with you, like Pat McAfee is part of his character. Like that's who dude is, like he always pushes boundaries and tests limits and all that. So anyway, I was just wondering if any of that had jumped out to you because apparently he's getting a little bit of heat for it. So
like I said, I get it. I get why people are trip about it and they take it the wrong way. But in it, I guess people would say, "Oh, why does he have to say a white guy?"
yeah,
Um, like I said, I me, I grew up in old wrestling, and now it doesn't bother me. It's like
Yeah.
typical.
I was just curious. So let's move on to the next match here. We got a lot more to go, so let's start kind of breezing through some of this stuff here. This next match was for the IC championship, and it was Sammy over Chad. I'm sorry, it was a three-way. Sammy over Chad and Bronson Reed. Um, Tell me what you thought about this one.
That one was a dope match, dude.
What's it?
It blew it away. That I knew Sammy was gonna win. He had to win. He's the fan favorite, and I'm glad they're doing what they're doing with him with this intercontinental run. I know you say that you think he don't deserve it, but I definitely think that
I'm glad he has it. I'm glad he has it, but I'm anxious for when he gives it over to Chad. I'm anxious for when he puts it over. And I don't. Again, this is another one where I'm not necessarily in a rush for it because I want the good story. Because I
so
know when Chad gets it, it'll be what it's supposed to be.
you brought it up, and I think they should go that route too. And this is going to be Chad Gable's heel turn, and I like the mixture of. It's funny. I was thinking about it today. Is that he reminds me kind of Kurt Angle mixed with Right to Censor. You know what I mean? With some Steven
Like
Richards
like,
about
like
Venus.
Angle, like Team
Yeah,
Angle, right to censor. I could see that. That's pretty cool. Stevie Richards.
I'm sorry. What was that?
No, no, I agree with you. That's pretty cool. I like that comparison. That actually sounds pretty dead on.
I like it too. I like Chad Gable as a heel. I like the stuff they're doing with him right now, and I think he should become a bad guy. Honestly, I don't think the good guy thing's been working with him. That whole gimmick with Otis and I can't think of her name right now, and
Hmm.
geez, I can't.
Maxine Dupree.
Yeah, Maxine Dupree and I know their names. I just can't think of it right now.
Yeah.
But the Alpha Academy
Kuzawa.
and all that stuff. Because didn't he start with Kurt Angle with Team Angle in the
No,
beginning? He was the
no.
second rendition.
So they were comparing them to them, him and Jason Jordan. They were compared to Team Angle because they had the same type of style, same type of attributes. You know what I mean? But no, they were never actually a Team Angle. They were called American Alpha or something like that. But Chad Gable has been a babyface since he's been in the WWE, and it's been a while. I remember when he had the long hair, he
Yeah,
had the headband and stuff, and then they switched him up and gave him that Shorty G bullshit for a while, and then now he's been himself again when it came to Otis, and that was a cool little pairing. So he could do the babyface comedy very well, but to see him spread these heel chops, that's where it's at. That's where his defining moments are going to be as a character in wrestling. And you'll see how, once he has this badass heel run, when he becomes babyface again later on down the road, it's going to be that much stronger. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I big things out of Chad Gable. So I'm excited to see that. What about Bronson Reed? What are you thinking about that dude?
I honestly don't like him.
This guy, he's where's he from? Is he from Australia also?
I think what's his name? What the hell is his
He's
name?
that big dude, and they called him Jonah on the Indies, right? When he was in Japan, they called him Jonah.
Yeah, but he's what the fuck's his name? I can have it on the tip of my tongue. He's a rapper. Uh,
Bronson Reed.
yeah.
Oh, really? So maybe we're thinking of different people then, because that's not who I was thinking it was. Bronson Reed must be somebody completely different.
He has a different name, dude. Lisa's cousin likes him. He just went and seen him when he came out here to Denver. I can't think of his name, but
So, so they
before he
did.
started wrestling again.
There was a guy named Top Dollar that they had for a while, whose name is uh, AJ Francis. Is that the guy you're thinking of?
No,
Because I think he's a rapper as well. But no, I didn't think this Bronson Reed was a rapper.
yeah, he is. He's what the fuck's his name?
He's the big dude, right? The big
Yeah,
Samoan looking
the
guy.
tattoos. Yeah,
He's a rapper? What?
Action Bronson.
Oh, I can see that. He's a white dude though, that Action Bronson. But he does kind of look like him, I guess. You know, I can see it. The big guy with the beard and shit, and all the tats. I guess I could see it. But that's not the same guy though. You know what I mean? It's a totally different dude. But this Bronson Reed, they had him for a while before. He was in NXT before or in FCW before. He's been around for a little while, and he went through their system, and then he went to Japan for a while, and they just brought him back again. I think this may be even be his third time with the company. I can't remember, but
To be honest, I think he's whack. When they debuted him back this last time, honestly, they made a big deal out of it. And then when I seen him wrestle, I was like, "Fudge." And every time I've seen him wrestle, I haven't been impressed. There's nothing really like that stands out about him to me yet. I
yeah.
mean, not saying that he couldn't potentially pull something out that I'm really shocked by, but honestly, I don't think there's not much anything there. Really, to me,
So
this bout was more about Chad Gable and Sami Zayn.
I think so too. But obviously they like this Bronson Reed dude. What? How does he wrestle? Is he kind of like a big like wrestle like a
Yeah.
big dude? And he does he do any kind of like acrobatic shit at all? Is he kind of like Keith Lee, or how is he?
Oh, he's just a big guy, a big powerhouse dude.
Like a giant? They have him wrestle like a giant kind of dude.
Does slams and chops and freaking splashes and
How does he
the
sell?
hard
Does he
ass
sell like
clothes
he's
stuff.
invincible?
So far, yeah. That's why I'm not really impressed with him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that big guys can't do it because I like Otis. Otis is dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look at like guys like Vader or Yokozuna or Bam Bam Bigelow. Like all these dudes could
Yep.
sell still. You know what I mean? They can still sell and make it believable. Like, you know, you need to be able to do that shit as a big guy.
So
So
this
anyway,
guy, just I'm not feeling him, you know. And the reason why he's even involved in this match is because he was the number one contender, but Chad Gable tried to steal that spot because he felt that he deserved it, getting Sami Zayn to that level.
yeah,
And that's how it turned to a triple threat. You know what I mean? Because he interfered on the real Intercontinental number one contender match because Bronson Reed won a battle royal to get that number one contendership or something like that.
yeah, I see. Okay. Well, anxious to see what happens there. You know, we'll see what happens with all three of these guys. They got a lot of positive stuff going on. So we'll see what happens. Um, moving on, our next match was the crowning of the Queen of the Ring, Nia Jax over Lyra Valkyria. Now, this Lyra Valkyria, tell me about her for a second. Tell me what your thoughts are on her because I haven't really seen a whole lot of her, and all I really can say is like about how her name sounds just like Tyra Valkyrie, and how it's like they had the actual girl and they changed her name and then they let her go and then they had this other chick and made her sound just like her. So that's all I have. So I don't know
She's
anything
pretty
else.
dope. Um, I honestly thought she was going to win. I thought this was going to be her big push. You know what I mean? Um,
I'm
because
surprised to you.
I think she's fresh out of NXT. Didn't she get drafted in the draft recently? And so, um, with that, you know, I wasn't really watching NXT, but I've seen only a couple matches of her in WWE, and I think she's pretty good. Um, like I said, I thought she was going to get her push with this match, but then I kind of felt that they might just give it to the veteran since Nia didn't really get the women's championship like she wanted to. Had a great feud with Becky that finished up a storyline from what 5, 6 years ago or something. Ever since she broke Becky's nose,
I mean,
and
like Maya's been doing great work, so she you know,
yeah,
I was mad about it.
I think she deserved it. You know, that's why I'm saying if you weren't going to give her the title, you might as well have given her this title as the Queen
Yeah.
of the Ring, and she deserved it. I agree with you on that.
Well, it also comes with the title shot too, right? At SummerSlam, isn't that one of the perks of it all?
Oh, I didn't know that. I kind
Yeah,
of assumed it. Right?
that's what I heard. Yeah. So
So I
Gunther,
was disappointed in the match. I just want to get this out of the way right away before we get to that match. But on the Cody and Logan Paul match, I thought that was a title versus title match, and it wasn't. It was only for Cody's title. So I thought that was like, what the hell? You know what I
I,
mean? I think they should have done it.
right off the bat, as soon as they like announced it, they already like almost tried to recant and tried to like play around with it and start fucking around with this whole thing. And to me, that's just bad taste right there. Now they've been doing a lot of stuff right, so I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, fuck them and they fucked up, because you're gonna make mistakes every now and then. But I think that's what this was. I think they jumped the gun and they wanted it to be something, and then once they said it, they're like, oh shit, wait a minute, we can't do that because we're trying to do this, this, and this. You know what I mean? So they probably had to backpedal pretty quickly. So I think it's kind of silly. It made them look a little funny, but I'm not mad at them. Like I said, they've been doing more right than they have been wrong. So I want to apologize again to our listeners and to our audience. If I sound stuffed up again, it's because I am. I still have these damn freaking allergies and they've been jacking me up for days. So I apologize if I sound like I'm funky over here like a cartoon, but bear with us. So moving on from the Queen of the Ring, our next one is the crowning of the King of the Ring with Gunther over Randy. How was that match? I wish I could have seen that one. I'm still gonna go back and watch it. Junior and
No,
I
so
are
it was
watching the
good,
whole.
dude. Randy pulled out some fucking badass RKO's. That's what he's known for. He's the Viper.
Out of nowhere.
But his knee was jacked up, so you knew that was going to play a part in it. Okay, it was taped up from the beginning of the match. You knew that was going to be the issue, and obviously they weren't going to give it to Randy, which is good. I think that's good because I don't think Randy came back this run to try to be the top dog. He's already proven that for more than a decade. So
Yeah,
I think he's here now to put over younger talent, and I
I
think that's
agree.
where it needs to be. So for those of you that were disappointed he lost, I'm not because he did exactly what he should have done. And he put over the talent, which was Gunter. And this dude needs to go. And he needed to get the King of the Ring. I know you're not on board 100% like I am, but this dude, he's phenomenal. Look, he's an excellent old school wrestler. I love that about him, that he only does old school moves, okay, for an era that's all flashy. And the dude doesn't just do old school moves, he's badass at it. And then he's a beast, the longest reigning intercontinental champion. And let's just say the guy don't fuck around. He's a fucking hardcore German ass dude that like
Yeah,
exactly how you would imagine how the German people are, how they're hard ass people. That's how this dude is.
yeah. That's tight, bro. I like it. It makes me sad, bro. Sometimes when I think about it, I don't know how much WCW you watched, but I was a big Alex Wright fan, bro. He was their German star. He was Das Wonder Kid. He was the one that was the dancing fools with Disco Inferno, and he would do that little dance. I remember when he first came out, though. He was young as fuck. He still had the same kind of look, but he wasn't all about, being silly with disco. Like he was a legit like wrestler, bro. And this dude
Yeah.
has some skill. He had some talent, bro. And he won some championships in WCW. And then they even switched his gimmick later as Berlin. And that's what I
Yeah.
picture. Like this whole thing is Gunther. That's who I picture Berlin should have been. That's what he should have been or whatever. So
I
it
agree
makes
with that,
me
but
sad because I wish that dude would have got a chance in WWE, bro. I wish that Alex Wright would have went there and done something because that would have been so tight. He was he was perfect for him. He was tailor made, but he stayed in Germany and never came here. He's a big time trainer now. I think he trained one of the guys in Imperium, Vinci. In fact, I think he trained. What's the other guy's name?
dope.
Kaiser.
Yeah, Ludwig Kaiser.
Yeah, I think it was Vinci though that he trained. I'm pretty sure. So that's pretty cool.
I think he looks like Vladimir Kozlov. Remember him?
Are you
He
talking
has the
about
look of him, but he
the
don't wrestle like him,
Da Vinci guy or Gunther?
Gunther.
Yeah, he does. He does have that look to him, but he
But
definitely doesn't wrestle like him. He doesn't wrestle like a
he's more like the
monster like
Sheik.
that.
You know what I mean? He's like the Iron Sheik.
Okay.
Dude, just dope. He's strong. He's dope. He's got a lot of charisma.
Yeah. Well, that's dope. I like that. So I expected a lot of more big things out of Gunther. Once they had him drop the IC title, which I didn't want them to do, I knew that he was in store for some big things. So again, like with not only did they win the title of King and Queen of the Ring, but they also got the title shot at SummerSlam. And I think since this show, he already stated his claim for the World Heavyweight Championship. So I guess he's got Damian Priest on his mind. So there's that for you. So we'll see what happens there. That'll be a nice one. So moving on from there, we get to the main event. And see how there was only what? One, two on the pre-show, or no, one on the pre-show, and then one, two, three, four, five on the actual card. And this is the main event right here, Cody and Logan. So Cody goes over on Logan, which I think we all saw coming. We all knew that Logan wasn't going to get the title that quickly. You know, if they did, shit, I think everybody would have, our minds would have exploded. We couldn't handle that shit. But was it a good match? What do you think about it?
It was dope, dude. Honestly, I thought the Gunther Randy match, it was dope. It was sick. But this one definitely, it was way better. I'm telling you, man, Logan Paul, he's gotten really good. Really, really good. Some of the shots made it fucking awesome, dude. Like when he did the moonsault from the top rope to Cody outside on the table. So fucking sick, you know, and the camera angles and everything and how they do it. Like I said, they make it like a movie. Um, but Logan, I don't like his character as a wrestler, okay? But as an actual wrestler, I give the guy all the credit in the world because to come into a sport that you've never done before and to be as phenomenal as you are and to increase your skill with every match and do the things that he does, you know, not everyone can do that stuff. And I got to give credit where credit's due. And he definitely sends it. And he's enjoyable to watch, even though he's a cocky prick on the microphone. He's enjoyable to watch as a wrestler.
That's dope. And I agree. I feel the same way. We're not supposed to like him. That's what makes him so good. You know what I mean? He's like, I feel like he's like the Miz. He's kind of in the vein of the Miz, you know, but even more so with the athleticism turned way up, you know, because we know how dope the Miz is. And I don't even think we've seen the Miz for a while, have we? We haven't seen him
Yeah,
since like,
oh, so when I told you about that whole thing where our truth's like when you're up and you're down and they kick you while you're up, when he's saying that to Carlito after the whole, he told him to. So our truth, for those of you who don't know, has been punked by the Judgment Day, milked and everything. They used him, and then Priest was cool with them, but then they jumped him and punked him, and he ended up with Miz, and that's how he ended up them awesome truth winning the titles.
yeah. So he was there then? Okay, well, I guess I need to pay attention to my highlights then because I didn't see him at all. I thought he's been missing for a while.
Yeah,
So
our truth said something. I can't remember exactly what he said, but Miz is kind of like, and then he walks out following him.
so that's the King and Queen of the Ring. What any last thoughts about that show? What about the venue and the people and like the whole Saudi thing? How did all of that seem? Was it, are we used to Saudi now? Is it like just a regular show now at Saudi? Because I know for a while there it was kind of uncomfortable, those Saudi shows.
Yeah, it's a thing because they're trying to boost their worldwide, entertainment, and you got to do that by going through there. You got other countries out there that are very wealthy, and if we don't get their support, you know, even though wrestling's popular in other countries in the world, it's a big money maker. So to promote this as a big entertainment business, they definitely need to get that Saudi crowd. And I definitely liked Jinder Mahal and his stint coming back. I liked how they did all of that, to boost the last show.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like they kind of dropped the ball on it. Yes, they're giving good shows there, but I don't feel that they're promoting good wrestlers from there. You know what I mean?
I agree. Well, Jinder Mahal, he's actually Canadian, but he's got Indian.
Yeah,
He's got Indian blood, so he's not really Saudi. And they actually released him. They just released
yeah,
Jinder Mahal
I
like
saw that.
about a month ago. That's kind of whack. But I hope he turns up in like TNA. I think he'll have a good shot over there, and maybe he could kick some ass in TNA. So that would be cool. And I know that the TNA and WWE are working on this new talent exchange, some kind of something going on because they've had Jordan Grace on stuff, right? Her, the TNA Knockouts champ.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool to see her involved. So that buttons up our Saudi stuff. Did you have anything else on that you wanted to add to it?
No, definitely think the French crowd was better, obviously.
Yeah.
But I know that, so we had a discussion previously about the difference in crowds. And I don't know if
Yes.
you want to get into this on this or you want to do this another time.
No, this is great. Go ahead, talk about it. I
Because
don't
I feel like,
have any of the specifics, so I can't reference anything specifically, but still, go ahead.
so I thought this was a great point to add our audience and ask them. Okay, so for those of you, leave your thoughts in the comments on what you prefer or what you think about the situation. So if you go to an event, like when we were discussing this, I feel like if you go to the event, and I'll just discuss my part of it, that you know what you're getting into, you're paying for the experience. I get it's going to be loud and people are going to do what they do, but I feel like that's part of the show. That's
Well, hold on.
that
Let's
is
get into the
entertainer.
specific. Let's get into the specifics of it all, though. Let's say, like the French crowd, like that's what brought this whole thing up. The French crowd in particular. Go ahead.
Okay, so some say they were the best crowd. Rich says that a lot of people are saying that it was one of the worst, and that there's people out there saying that there's a point where you cross a line when you're trying to be a part of the show instead of enjoying the show. So I get that, but I've always felt like with wrestling, okay, per se, sports of any kind, the crowd is the show. They are the main reason for the show. This goes back since the days of gladiators. And I guess I use the analogy that, and it was a bad analogy because yes, at a movie theater, you wouldn't want people to be loud, but at scenes, people are going to be like, oh, or they're going to laugh and all that stuff. You already know that when you go to the movies. So for me, I don't go to the movies as often because if I'm going to have to deal with all the noise and all that other crap, I could just do the same at home. But if I do go, I do want to pay for an experience like a 3D or something. So something I can't experience at home. So for
Yeah.
me, going to a live event, the crowd is part of that show. That is part of that experience in my eyes. So for me, I don't feel it's as a bad thing for the crowd to try to be part of the show. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Um, I get where you're coming from. That sometimes people are too much, but
I I agree with a lot of the stuff that you're saying. I mean, I think they're a big part of the show. I don't necessarily think that they are the show, like how you said, but I do feel like they are a big component of it. I think it all is centered around them. The entire show revolves around them. So I get all of that. But I do feel like there's a point where you can cross that line and try to take over the show. And I feel like that's kind of what the French crowd did. And I wish I could remember verbatim what the Disco Inferno said on the Keeping It 100 podcast. But he was the one that I felt like articulated it the best when he was saying about how the French crowd wasn't as amazing and as spectacular as what people are saying. And I'm not saying that they were the worst one either. You kind of said that earlier, that some say that they're the best of all time, and I was saying that some were saying that they're the worst. And I'm not saying that they were the worst of all time, but I'm definitely not saying that they were the best because I felt like they tried to take over the show instead of appreciate it for what it was, for certain parts of it at least. You know what I mean? So yeah, like Grim said, leave your thoughts. Leave your thoughts and your comments down in the comment section and let us know what you guys think. Do you think that crowds should do, or however you feel about them taking over shows, and if it's a problem or not, and if that French crowd in particular, if they were an example of that. How about that?
yeah,
But moving on, let's get into our AEW show. This was our Double or Nothing, I believe, and right off the bat in the pre-show, they had La Mera Mera Thunder Rosa against Deonna Purrazzo. Are you familiar with either of these two?
I am Thunder Rosa. I've always liked her. I've been a fan.
Agree. Now, Deanna Perrazzo, do you know who she is? Are you a fan of her or any of that?
Isn't she with that Ruby Riot or whatever in that clique? Because AEW is a bunch of cliques.
I don't think she's part of that clique, to be honest with you. She came, okay, so she was in NXT and she was doing a really good job. But I don't know, whatever happened, she ended up leaving. I don't think she got released. I think she asked to leave. And she left. She went to TNA. She started killing it in TNA, became the champ over there. Her gimmick is the virtuosa, and she's
Oh yeah.
she's not like a little tiny chick. She's a little bit thicker, and she's got a decent look to her and all that. You know what I mean? So when she got signed to AEW, it was kind of a big deal because she was TNA, one of their big talents. And like I said, she came from the WWE system as well. So I'm a fan of both of them. I like Thunder Rosa and I like Deanna Perrazzo. So I'm sad that I didn't get to see any of this whole show at all. I don't really get to see a lot of AEW shows. So I'm not going to be able to give any firsthand experience with any of these, just like I couldn't on the other one either. But Deanna Perrazzo went over on this one, but I'll bet you it was a badass match. I'm kind of sad that they were on the pre-show. I feel like they could have, they deserve to be on the main show. So the next match was also on the pre-show, was a trios match, and it was the Acclaimed against Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony. Do you know who the Gates of Agony and the Acclaimed are?
I know who the Acclaimed are, and I know who Brian Cage is. I don't know who the Gates of Agony are, and I know Brian Cage is a really good wrestler. And the Acclaimed, um, isn't that Billy Gunn's tag team? The
It is.
one
It
that he made,
is.
basically, because isn't one of them his son or something?
So, well, check it out. So they initially had two, because he has two sons that are wrestling, the Gunn brothers. So they were all part of this whole thing at one point. But I think they turned on him not too long ago, and the sons are actually against him now. They're not involved with him. So the Acclaim now is the other original members, Anthony Bowens and Max Caster. Those are the two other
Yeah,
guys in the Acclaimed with Daddy Ass, Billy Gunn. And the Gates of Agony are Toa Leona and Bishop Khan. I don't know if you know who those guys are. So I've never seen the Gates of Agony. I do believe I've seen the Acclaimed. Again, I'm not as familiar with AEW, so I do promise y'all I will make a point to start being better at that, so I could have a better idea of who we're talking about here. So the Acclaim goes over. Any thoughts on Brian Cage? He's been kind of booked, kind of whacking AEW from what I understand so far. He's somebody that could be huge in WWE if he ever got the chance.
I agree. I think he could be, but AEW they do that. You know what I mean? But WWE is guilty of it too. But I feel like AEW more so, where they let's just say they have a habit of boosting their EVPs and the older talent that are recycled from other wrestling organizations as opposed to their newer talent.
Yep,
I
I
could
agree.
say fairness, without being, I'm trying not to be negative about it. You know what I mean?
Well,
Because
keep it
but
real though too. We got to keep it real. Like, of course, we're trying to look at all of the wrestling as positive as we can because we just want the good stuff for the business. That's all we want. But you got to keep it real with a lot of this shit too. We can't sugarcoat everything. And AEW has definitely made its own bed, so they got to climb out of it. And like I said earlier at the top of the show, they've been making steps towards that. They're actually on the upswing right now. So I expect a lot more good things from AEW. Um,
so, and like I said, they have a lot of great talent, a lot of great talent, a lot of great wrestlers that I like. It's just, like I said, given the circumstances, if you're basically not an EVP or you're not part of that EVP's clique, you're not an older wrestler from another organization, they're not really pushing those names. They hadn't been, you know. It's been
yep,
more same people you're used to, the Chris Jerichos, the John Moxleys, the elite, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. You got Will Ospreay, Chris
yep,
Jericho. I mean, that's what they're pushing. And they're not pushing. And when CM Punk was there, Cody Rhodes,
yep.
Hangman
Well,
Adam Page. because he's part of the elite. But outside of that, they're not really giving a good push to a lot of their other characters. Like, man, I like Hook. I think that dude is freaking awesome. If he could hone his skills better, I definitely think he'd be a top-notch talent.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these guys are involved on the card here, so let me go down the card here, and you could give me your thoughts as we go through it real quick, and because we're already coming up on an hour on our show here, so
Yeah.
let's we got a fair amount to get through still. So that's it for the pre-show as far as the card goes. So the first match, we kick everything off with the AEW International Championship. Or I'm sorry, champion Roderick Strong drops it to Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay gets his first championship in the United States, and he's the new champ, so that's pretty cool. Big deal for that. I heard Roderick Strong was doing a lot of good work too, leading up to all this. He's doing some of his best work. So, give me your thoughts.
I hear he's a good wrestler too. I've seen him a few times. I think he's pretty good. Will Ospreay, though, I have seen, and dope. He was the big name that everyone was hoping potentially could end up in WWE, but he ended up signing with AEW, which I already knew that was going to happen because he's got a lot of friends there. Um, Definitely, it's good for the brand to have a name like him. I definitely think he's one of the top talent names there. Honestly,
Yeah. I mean, as soon as he signed, he instantly became one of their top guys. You know what I mean? Like instantly. So,
well, he was
uh,
already a worldwide following at that point. You know what I mean?
yep, yep, he sure does. And he's actually toned down some of his style, and he's still like incredible. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see what happens with him too. He's going to be amazing. So, congratulations to him, his first championship in the States, and first of many to come, I'm sure. So I guess after this match, Adam Cole comes out, does a little promo, is talking shit, and then in the middle of his promo, MJF makes his return.
So,
MJF, who was out for a while, he finally comes and makes his return, and him and Cole have their little confrontation. So, give me your thoughts, Adam Cole and MJF.
okay, so for those of you who don't know, the reason why MJF is out is because of Adam Cole, who was doing the whole devil gimmick, which was MJF's gimmick. So everyone thought MJF was playing a trick on himself. And there was speculation it could be Adam Cole because they had one of the best tag team runs in AEW history, I feel. They were a dope tag team together. They played well off of each other's characters. It was a great storyline. I really liked them together. It brought out the babyface part of MJF, who started off his career basically as a heel. So that was really cool because it showed how much MJF can change as a character. Um, but Adam Cole revealed himself as the devil, punked MJF, who ended up having to go out on a shoulder surgery anyways that he was trying to prevent. He ended up losing his title to Samoa Joe due to this. Um, so him returning and all that, that's dope. And I like Adam Cole too. Bay Bay.
Well, Adam Cole's still hurt apparently. Apparently, he's still got a little bit more healing to do. So I'm not sure when they'll actually capitalize on this feud still. But anxious to see what happens with that. I know MJF is definitely one of the top heels in the business right now. Definitely the top heel in AEW. So we'll see what happens with his return because that dude's easily going to be a huge baby face once they decide to make that turn. Next match is for the AEW Unified World's Trios Championship. Champions the Bang Bang Gang, Jay White and Austin and Colton Gunn. Those are the Gunn brothers, Billy Gunn's kids. Going against the Death Triangle, which is Pac and the Lucha Bros, Pentagon and Phoenix. What do you think of these teams?
I like them all. I really don't know the Gunn brothers as much though, but if Jay White's backing him, he's dope. He's a dope wrestler. He always has been. Uh, isn't that Sling Blade Jay White from the Bullet Club?
That's the same guy, same one that was from New Japan, and he's another new signee to AEW that has been pretty recent. And I don't think that he's done a whole hell of a lot since he's come. So, expect a lot of big things out of him still too. So
Well, he had one of the best runs as the leader of the Bullet Club, because the first one being Finn Balor, then the second being AJ, and then Kenny Omega, and then he took over when Omega left.
I
They say
see.
his run was one of the best, and he's actually a pretty sick, sadistic wrestler. I think he reminds me of like a Cactus Jack mixed with Terry Funk, but in their old ECW days.
Okay.
Um,
Huh.
but on the other side, Pac, Neville from WWE, sick as hell. He's a good ass wrestler. He
God,
doesn't get
that dude.
credit, but this
Can I
whole
just
Trico
say,
thing, I think it's
oh,
a waste of his
oh,
talent, honestly. No,
thank
like
you,
I
thank
felt
you,
this
thank you.
since they put him with them. Ever since they put him with the Lucha Brothers, and this has been already almost what, 2 years, a year, something like that. I thought it was a waste of his talent. He's too good to be put in a group, and not to take away from the Lucha Brothers, both of them are dope. Penta, he's a freaking Lucha legend, and Ray Phoenix, he's sick too. So you can't
That,
take away.
that's what's so cool about this team, bro. Is individually, each one of them are legendary. Like they're phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? So collectively, of course, they're gonna be badass. But I agree. I feel like I feel like each one of them are kind of bigger than the sum of all of them. You know what I mean? So it's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird dynamic. I feel
No,
like
but
he's. I
the
feel like
Lucha
Pac.
Brothers, that works because WWE is not doing anything like that other than LWO.
I agree. But with Pac, though, I feel like ever since he left WWE, bro, like he's been wasted. He's just been wasted, wasted, wasted. Because that dude is one of the most talented fucking guys. Could you imagine him, Will Ospreay, and Ricochet, bro? The three of those two dudes are like the walking highlight reels of professional wrestling. If you really wanted to look at it, you know what I mean? Any day of the week, those three could have bangers with anybody, could make your fucking jaw drop, and you'd be amazed. You know what I mean? As far as their athleticism goes. But Pac
He
has kind of got. I'm sorry.
Rumor
Go.
is that Triple H liked Neville a lot, but Vince didn't like him. And that was the inevitable reason why Neville's no longer with WWE. But now that Vince is out, Triple H always liked him. Who knows? Maybe there is a spot for him to come back at some point.
See, I was under the impression that Vince did like him because Vince was always like obsessed with this Mighty Mouse type character. And fucking Neville was perfect for that type of character. That's why they gave him the whole superhero deal and all that. So I was under the impression that he liked him, but either way, it didn't work out the way we had all hoped it would in WWE, even though he did have a pretty good run there for a while. I'm anxious to see if he does ever go back. Because, man, I feel like he would have an incredible second run there if he did go back. Um, if that ever does happen. But we'll see. It's all in the booking. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how bad of an athlete, as of an athlete you are. If they book you to be shitty, then that's what it is. Like Ricochet, Ricochet is amazing. He's one of the best ever, but they book him like shit a lot of times.
I think a lot of that has to do with him being with Samantha Irvin.
Well, I think a
Basically,
lot of it has to do with him being like a good guy and like agreeable as far as like a workhorse goes. Like, he'll do whatever's asked of him. He's not going to be an asshole and not put anybody over. You know what I mean? So,
but I think, excuse me,
bless you.
thank you. If they put him to the top, it would give a bad taste to a lot of people that are there because he is with Samantha Irvin. I think that it would be a while and he would have to do a lot of other things in the business before. And I think he knew that with being in a relationship with another person in the business, that.
But he's been around forever, bro. Like that dude has his respect already. You know what I mean? Like he shouldn't have to still be fighting for motherfuckers. And him being with her, that's not his first relationship in the business either. You know what I mean? So he should be allowed to be whoever he needs to be. In fact, his contract is coming up real soon, and there's a lot of talks about him moving on and going somewhere else too. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds for Ricochet. So um but moving on from there, uh, or actually, we didn't even get to move on. We didn't even get into it here. The Bang Bang Gang actually goes over on the Death Triangle, and Pac and the Lucha Bros lose there. But we were talking about Pac, but we didn't actually get in too much with the Lucha Bros. You did mention a little bit about them, but bro, Pentagon. They say Phoenix is probably the tightest lucha that's around right now, but Pentagon, I think his gimmick is something that like I've never seen before. First of all, and like it's like all in caps, like it encapsulates like so many things in it. It's so dope. It's like a ninja, but a lucha ninja, and then like a samurai type. Like, bro,
Bro, man, bro. Remember they
he's
changed
so
that?
freaking dope. And I was a fan of him since I first seen him in Lucha Underground. That was my first exposure to him. So once I saw that, it was amazing. Um, let's start moving through this. We're coming up on time real quick here. So um, after that match, Juice Robinson, or during that match, I think Juice Robinson makes his return also. You remember Juice Robinson?
Yeah, he's freaking No Way Jose from WWE, for those that
No,
don't know.
no, he was CJ Parker or something like that. He was the one that was like the tree hugger dude.
Oh, is it? I
Yeah,
thought Robinson is freaking No Way Jose.
no, wrong guy. But Juice Robinson's actually, I think he's married to Tony Storm, to be honest with you. I think they're actually, yeah, together and stuff. But he was the white dude with dreads. And he went to Japan a while back, and he's done pretty good for himself over there, and has made a name for himself. So, big ups to him. Let's see what he does. Next match, the AEW Women's World Championship. Timeless Tony Storm, the champion, goes over on the Professor Serena Deeb. What do you think about that one?
I don't know who Serena Deeb is. Is she associated to Dr. Britt Baker? Do you know? Because,
No. So Serena Deeb, she's the one that was in the Straight Edge Society with CM Punk and got her head shaved.
oh,
So
yeah,
she's old school. She's
Serena.
been around for a while, and she's been like one of their backstage coaches, their producers. You know what I mean? So she has been a part of the storylines for a while now too. So she's actually pretty badass.
Dope.
But
Uh,
this timeless Tony Storm gimmick, though, what do you
yeah,
think about that?
she's dope. I always liked her. I thought she was a dope female wrestler.
Did you like her before the timeless gimmick?
Yeah,
What do you think of the timeless gimmick?
I think it's dope. I feel like it's I don't know if an homage or if it's influenced by I feel like the Flares
Oh,
or
okay.
as a dynasty type.
I was thinking like Marilyn Monroe-ish. Like that's what it reminds me of. Reminds me of like old time movie star like that.
See, because I always feel like the Flares, and I say the Flares because Rick and Charlotte, you know what I mean? They're both like that flashy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but she's all black and white and all of that kind of stuff. So she definitely has like this old 40s like Betty Boop flapper kind of thing to her. You know what I mean? So I like her gimmick. I think it's unique. I think it's pretty cool. I like how they play with the color schemes with the entrances and stuff like that. I think that's pretty dope. Um I was a fan of her before. Not a huge fan because I didn't have a whole lot of exposure. So I'm anxious to see what they do too. So big ups to her on her championship still. The next match was Trent Beretta, and he lost to Orange Cassidy. What do you think about Orange Cassidy?
He's, let's just say that's a unique thing. So he's like the guy that Tony Khan is really good friend with or something. He's like a son to Tony Khan or something like that. So that gave him a lot of pull and push in the company. He wrestles all right. The hands in the pocket gimmick, I liked it at first, but then I don't know how I feel about this laid back, lazy, freaking type gimmick that he does.
Yeah,
The whole down.
I think initially it was pretty cool for everybody, but I don't know how much legs it holds. You know what I mean? So we need to see what the evolution of that's going to keep. continuing to be. I mean, it's already been a few years and he's still one of the top guys. So obviously something's working. I like him, just like how you said you like him too, but it does seem to be like it's kind of running a little stale. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the rest of that. Next is the FTW Championship. It's the FTW rules for a three-way match against the champion Chris Jericho goes against Hook and Shibata, and Jericho goes over. What do you think about that?
Lame, because I don't think Jericho needs it, honestly. He's too old, and with his accusations, I think he handled it better than Vince did with the whole accusations against him. It's not that I hate Jericho, it's just it's like Ric Flair at the end of his career giving it to him instead of giving it to the guys that need it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I said, Hook, he's one of their great talents there. I know he's been one of their longer reigning FTW champions. Um, but and who is the other guy?
Shibata.
I don't know if I know who that is.
Yeah, one of the Japanese dudes, badass.
I'm just saying that I just don't feel Chris like how you said about Sami Zayn. You know, I just feel Jericho don't need.
Excuse me.
You know what I mean? Bless you.
Thank
His
you.
his career has
Ooh, excuse me.
bless you transcended wrestling. So I don't feel he needs to have a title at this point.
I think that's what he's doing. I think he is actually putting Hook over. I think this is all part of that process. So I'm not hating so much. I think. Ooh, excuse me.
But
Damn. Allergies. I told you. Excuse me. Thank you. I think Jericho has to win some in order to lose some. You know what I mean? So I think it's good for him to go over on some of these because I know eventually when he drops it back to Hook or whatever happens, it's going to mean that much more. You know what I mean? So I didn't have any problems with it. Um, I don't know Shibata as well. I do regret that. I do want to get more well versed on a lot of the Japanese guys as well. So I apologize for that. Moving on. Next is our AEW TNT Championship, a barbed wire steel cage match. The rated R superstar champion Adam Copeland goes over Malachi Black from the House of Black. I guess there was a pretty scary bump on here where Edge, I call him Edge still, but Adam Copeland goes off the top of the cage uh, down on Malachi Black. It landed on his feet or his legs or something. Kind of looked like he could have hurt himself right there. I think he had actually did hurt himself since some kind of something. I may be wrong. I didn't read into it very well, so don't quote me on it. But nothing serious from what I do understand. What do you think about this match?
so um I like Malachi Black or Aleister Black. I liked him. I like that whole gimmick. I like that he's with Buddy Murphy, Rhea Ripley's husband, and who's the other guy that he's with? I like that whole gimmick.
Brody.
And, yeah, Brody King. And Edge was all right. He's had his day. I get he went there because he felt there was more story stuff. I just, again, see, this is what I'm saying. They give it to the talent that is the older talent from other organizations as opposed to promoting new talent.
See, I think that this is another one of those examples of how um, people aren't afraid to put other people over. Like especially Edge and Jericho. I feel like these guys are making a point for this stage of their career is just to be putting over people. You know what I mean? And I think Jericho's been doing a great job of it. I feel like Edge is foaming at the mouth with everybody that he could work with there in AEW. And I think he's having a lot of fun. Um, I'm happy for him. I hope he continues to do well. I'm not mad about him having the title right now either because again, you got to win some in order to lose some. So um, we actually skipped over one. The IWGP World Heavyweight Championship Eliminator. Champion John Moxley goes over Konosuke Takeshita. What did you think about those guys?
I liked Dean Ambrose's unstable gimmick. I liked some of his stuff as Dean Ambrose. I even liked John Moxley in the beginning, but how he's built his character in AEW and how it's remained in recent years, minus his injuries, because then that he's not on television. I don't like his gimmick anymore. I'm over him. I'm over him trying to act like Stone Cold and Bubba Ray, or I mean, what did Bubba Ray go by at the end of his career? Freaking
Bully Ray.
yeah, Bully Ray. You know, I feel like he's trying to take from all these other characters, and at first it was cool, but I mean, at this point, you know, with all these characters that tried to be that type of anti-establishment character, I think at this point, like, what's he really fighting? Like, what is he so anti-establishment against at this point? Like, where's the real storyline? I guess that's why I'm over his gimmick. I get he does that Blackpool stuff. He's basically just like a bully that tries to be brutal and hardcore aggressive. I'm not a fan of his character as much anymore, you know, and
Yeah.
obviously with the whole thing that came out with him and Punk and that whole Rocky storyline and all of that. You know what I mean? That speaks true to what I'm saying about his character, though, that I don't get beat by anybody. You know, he's that type of guy behind the scenes, I feel.
I think I think his legacy since going to AEW has been kind of a strange one. Like he's obviously done a lot of big things. He's done a lot of good stuff. He's been a champion, you know, for a lot of it. But his overindulgence in the hardcore, gruesome Crimson Mask, bloody wars that he's been in has kind of taken on some lore of its own. You know what I mean? Kind of like how the Cactus Jack and Terry Funk stuff, like you were talking about earlier, kind of like how these guys, like to that level, like he had to carry on that legacy almost. And I'm not mad at him for it, but I do feel like he allowed his actual wrestling career to be like sacrificed to keep that legacy alive. And I feel like that was kind of unnecessary. I felt like he could have done both still. You know, it's unfortunate that that happened the way that it did. Tyler,
So
5
look,
minutes.
I'm not trying to badmouth the guy in a way that I'm saying I hate him because I truly respect the fact that when he left WWE, it was because the storyline they did where he was making fun of Roman and his cancer at the time. Roman really was going through his leukemia treatments and stuff, and he was soured by the writers and that whole gimmick, and that they would have him basically trip on Roman and call him out and make fun of him over his sickness, and all of that's what ended up causing him to leave WWE. So I do highly respect him and stuff. It's just the whole said the gimmick and everything, it's old at this point. Like I said, at
Yeah,
first I liked him, but at this point I'm over it. You know what I mean? Like I think he
yeah,
needs a different direction, to be honest.
yeah.
For
We'll
me,
see what happens now. I don't know what his contract is in AEW, but I think this dude is due for a break. You know, and then maybe when he comes back, it'll be like absence make the heart grow fonder kind of thing. So maybe. T.H.T, what do you think about that dude? Quickly, we're coming down on our last few minutes here. And we still got a lot of guys to cover. So
I'm not sure really. Forgive
he's
me
pretty dope.
there.
He's pretty dope from what I've seen. I encourage you to watch any matches you can of him because he's definitely top guy quality matches. I wish they would push him as so. They don't really. So we'll see. I mean, he's in a championship match here, and he has been previously. So that's pretty cool. He was in that Will Ospreay the first match he did. So he's
Oh,
pretty badass. Yeah, so I like him a lot. He actually kind of reminds me of you a little bit back in the day when you had your long hair and you were all Grim X in it. You know what I mean? So anyway, next match was for the AEW TBS Championship. Champion Willow Nightingale drops the belt to Mercedes Moné in her first match in AEW, and she already wins the title.
I saw that. I
Tell
did
me
see.
about it.
I didn't see the match. I just saw the outcome of it. That is something that came up, and I was like, figures. You
Yeah,
know. I kind of figured that they're gonna give it to her right away. That's typical. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That seems like typical thing that AEW would do. That they don't bring in and build up a storyline. They're just gonna give it to you because you're the popular person that they know is gonna draw money. Because it seems then to me, see, that's what that says to me as a fan. When you do something like that, it says that you're that low and that you're screaming for money. So you're just trying to get the biggest draw.
Yep, I agree. I agree 1,000%. Um, I don't think it was necessary, but at the same time, they kind of booked themselves into a corner. They had to do it.
And not to
So
say anything about her talent. She's a dope wrestler. Sasha Banks, she was so
yeah.
sick.
But the other one is dope too, from what I understand. From what I gather, Willow had some of the biggest pops of recent times. You know what I mean, as far as their women's roster goes. So, um, I don't know. We'll see what happens. You know, we'll see what happens with Mercedes. I was a big Sasha guy, so we'll see. You know, we'll see what she does. But so far, it's been lackluster. We'll see what happens from here on out. Next match, the AEW World Championship. Champion Swerve Strickland goes over Christian Cage. Christian's been doing some of the best work of his career in AEW, which is, I think, part of the reason why Edge wanted to go there, you know, because there's a lot of fun being had already. So to see Christian get another chance at some top guy stuff is pretty cool, especially at this stage in the game for him. I'm happy for
But
him. I think he's doing a good job. What do you think of these two?
I like Swerve. He's dope as hell, man. Isn't he the one who wore the Macho Man gimmick and all that other shit too? He's like one of those guys that does the homages to other people, like CM Punk, I think, in some of his
I don't know.
gear.
I'm not well versed on Swerve.
Dude, he
The
went
only guy
the
I've ever
title.
known The only guy I've ever known to do anything with Macho Man was Jay Lethal, so I don't know.
Did, but I think he did too, but in a different way. And he came out to a Black Panther outfit that was a mix between that and fucking Michael B. Jordan's outfit, Killmonger's. It was sick as
Okay.
hell. Um, I don't remember if it's when he won the title or if when he was defending it, but he's dope. Christian, I agree. He's doing some of the best work of his career, but Christian's been dope as a heel on the mic. I feel like that's something he's always had over Edge. Honestly, that's
Yeah,
why I don't. Adam Copeland's on the same. I get they're friends and everything, but Christian, he has it on the mic. He's one of those guys that has the mic skills, and because of that,
yeah,
whether wrestling or not, he's gonna be dope.
I agree. I agree. Anxious to see what happens now with Swerve going forward. They've kind of booked him shitty since he won the belt, so we'll see. We'll see how that looks. He's their first African American champ, and he's badass. You know, I expect good things out of Swerve, so we'll see what happens. Last match, the main event, Anarchy in the Arena. It was the Elite versus Team AEW. The Elite consisted of Okada, Jack Perry, and the Bucks. And Team AEW was Brian Danielson, Darby Allin, and FTR. Um, the Elite goes over. I think the Elite had to go over because of all the heat they got right now and all the momentum they have. It makes sense to me. This is one of their crazy matches that's all over the place, and it's pretty cool, kind of unique to AEW. Haven't really seen one of those matches yet, but I hear that they're entertaining, but also kind of a clusterfuck at the same time. So
They are, and sometimes they are good, but I don't think they should have won it. To be honest, I really don't. I don't think that was the good route to go, given the circumstances. I think, given the heat that they got going on, it would better to have taken the loss. I mean, considering because then
I
you're
think they're
making
still
a
building
statement.
their. I think they're still building their heat, so I think they needed the win. But I see where you're getting at.
I feel like to make the better statement. I mean, I get with Jack Perry, you're trying to push him, but the rest of the elite, they should have, as a statement,
Yeah.
lost to
And
push
he's
up.
the one that actually got the win from what I read. I think he's the one that took the pin. So
It's because they're trying to give it to him over this whole CM Punk thing, which again, they wasted that. You know, they could have done something with him. Instead, they left him suspended because
yeah,
John was lost his best star.
I agree. So that's that. That was all of our pay-per-views that we had for the month of May and early June. I think there's still a couple more coming up here in June that we'll try to be on top of better for this next episode. Is there any last thoughts that you wanted to give our first episode of our hot tag here, or the hot tag?
definitely just like I said, I'm not trying to be hateful towards AEW. I just feel there's a lot that could be done better. I'm glad that I was really excited when they came out because I liked that there was another brand. WWE got stale for a while because there was no competition. And so when a new brand like that came out, it was awesome. So I want to see it do better because if it does better, then everyone does better. Thing is that when you see things that they're doing that you're like, really, that turns you off as a fan, and that's what causes companies like them to inevitably go under when they don't listen to the fans.
Yep, I agree. Well, both of these shows seemed like they were stacked to the gills, and they had a lot of good stuff. Some new champions, some obviously some people retained, some stuff that we didn't see going any differently. I don't think any of us were really swerved with anything, but it was a lot of good stuff. So we'll see what happens now in June. I expect a lot of good things here. We got some good pay-per-views coming up soon, I'm sure. So everybody stay tuned. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, talk to your people, say some comments, let us know what you're thinking. We got lots of stuff for you. So be tuned into the Dro Bro Show. We got a nice episode coming up for you guys. Uh, we don't have any spiritual journey stuff yet or any more of the vicious interviews, which has now been rebranded to the Remo Show. We don't have any of that for you yet. We will come out with our first episode probably next week. So stay tuned. Don't quote me on it, but I'm hoping. So anything else from you, Grim, before we go?
No, just Scrimex tagging out.
Tagging out. We're tapping out. It's a done deal. This is it. We're going home. Everybody, we thank you. We appreciate you. And check us out next month for our recap of June. Peace.